The images that you'll see as you go around and meet people from the staff are actually from our CUcard area. So if you've ever wondered what it looks like when you send in the phone, a fax, or communication, you'll be able to see that today. Because it is part of our working operation, periodically you may see some phone calls or some communications come through as we not only do this broadcast today, but attend to your needs for our members. So my next step then is I'll introduce you to Michelle, which I think many people know, and she'll do the next step in the process. Michelle?
Thank you, Joe and Brian. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name's Michelle Fullerton, and I'm Program Services Administrator here at the Association of Vermont Credit Unions. Over the last 16 years, I've worn many hats, and currently I am Administrator of the CUcard program and get the opportunity to work with these three ladies that you'll meet today in the session. I first want to give you an idea of the breakout today. And that breakout today will be meeting the CUcard staff, as I've done for you right now, tricks and reminders throughout Connect, which Jen will be doing this afternoon, chargeback overview and tips, which will be done by Monica, new chargeback forms and how-tos be done by Jennifer, as well as miscellaneous updates introducing you to our new CUcard plastic and a question and answer form if you have any questions and answers. So with no further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Jen in regards to the tricks and reminders throughout Connect.
3708. Hi guys, my name is Jen Pearson. I'm the Program Services Representative here at the Association.
You're welcome.
I've been here for a little over 6 years now.
My day-to-day procedures include a lot of your daily entries. I do phone support and Connect help, transaction file processing, and daily ATM emails. I upload your terminal reports. I do the lost and stolen follow-ups when we get reports from that from Vantiv. I do MasterCard and ATM exception letters, and I also do all of your card orders and overnights. I'm going to be going over the tricks and tips for CUcard Connect, so we will have a couple of slides for you to be looking at today. The first slide is your main dashboard. From here, you guys will see the screen every time you log in, and the biggest thing to make sure you keep track of on this particular screen is the announcements. The announcements are on the right side of the page, and anything that's time sensitive, we will put a date stamp on. We're trying to get away from emails, so you'll put most of our updates in there. We'll put down if we're closed for a holiday. We'll put if the search engine is not working, just random updates for important things that we think you should know. So make sure you keep an eye on that. On the next slide, if you check the submitted requests, make sure you do this regularly. We want to make sure that everything you guys submit to us is getting looked at and taken care of. So if something is put on hold or rejected, we need to make sure that you take a look at that. You're going to want to look at both the immediate and the daily tabs every single day, multiple times a day. From here, you'll be able to see exactly what the progress is for something you've submitted. What you're going to want to do is on the left side of the request, there is a paper and a pencil, and if you click on that, it's going to bring up a notes page. And on the notes page, you're going to be able to see exactly our reasons for putting something on hold or rejecting it if you scroll down a little bit on there. A lot of times with card orders, we'll put them on hold if we're missing a phone number. If you've ordered a card for somebody who already has an active card and there's no note telling us why you did that. If you're doing a PIN reset and we've rejected it because they didn't need it, things like that. So make sure you take a look at those multiple times a day so you can see exactly where the status of everything is. As for researching requests to try and find something that you did either earlier in the day or a few days ago, you're not going to want to use the search function that's on the top right of your screens. If you do that, you will get the error message that you're seeing right now on your screen. Instead, what we want you to do is on the left side of your dashboard, there's an existing request option. So if you click on that, it'll bring you to a sort screen. And from there, what you can do is you can sort by request type, you can sort by name, approval status, date. There's a little black arrow that appears on the right side of the column title. And when that shows up, if you click on that, it's either going to let you scroll down to names, or if your section is a little bit bigger than others, it's going to show filter choices. So if you click on that, you'll get your list, and you can scroll back and forth and try and find exactly what you're looking for from there. There's also an alternative search option. If the search bar function happens to be down, or if you want to just try and look through the list and see what you have, you can also click on one of the list options on the left of the page. That's the accounts, the cards, the card holders, and you can do what I was just mentioning. You click on the little black arrow and your list will pop up, and you can scroll up and down and try and find what you're looking for that way. Request updates. So for a cardholder information update, we cannot see what you guys are submitting as a change for a cardholder. So it's really helpful to us if you can put in exactly what you're doing. You can use words, just a quick word. You can change the phone, address, name. The biggest thing is if you do a name change, if you could please put the former name for the member, it saves us a lot of time to try and find who you're looking for. And if you put down what you're changing exactly, we can make sure we're looking at that more closely in case it's a subtle change, like just a one-digit adjustment or a one-letter adjustment for something. So if you can help us out, we'd really appreciate it. Hot block requests. For these, we try to keep your systems as clean as possible, so we delete any card that has not been used for over 6 months. If you're going to submit a hot card for something, if you can take a look in the middle of your screen, you're going to see the last transaction date. If there's no date there, it means the card has never been used and can be deleted. And if it's been over 6 months since the last transaction, please submit a delete instead of a hot, because otherwise we will reject your hot and enter in a delete. So you'll just be saving us a little bit of time. If you'd like to do a hot and you don't want the card deleted, just make sure you put in the comments section that you'd like to keep the card on the system, and we'll make sure we leave it right there for you. Connect is set up so it will not let you delete anything that has had a transaction within the last 6 months. So don't worry about accidentally deleting something that can't be deleted. It's not going to happen. We'll keep an eye on it for you. As for PINs, for forces and resets, since they are submitted separately, it's best if you guys put a comment in the comment section that states that you have a PIN force or a PIN reset coming with the request you've already submitted. That way we can wait and see that we have both of them coming through, and we'll do them both at the same time. That way you guys only get charged once, and we can make sure we're keeping track of everything that way. The next one is travel notifications and cardholder exclusions. These are exclusive requests. They do not always go hand in hand. They do sometimes, but most of the time they can be separate. A travel notification is only needed if the member is actually physically going to this location. If they're leaving the state for some reason just to go travel, if they're going to Canada, if they're going to the UK, that's a travel notification. If a member is attempting to complete a transaction, whether it's in person or just online, in a country that's blocked or in a location that's blocked, then you're going to want to submit a cardholder exclusion. If you want to do both because the member's traveling to, I believe France is something that most credit unions have blocked, then you're going to want to submit both. And you can do that in one step by submitting a travel notification, and from there you can select exclusion as well. There are some requests that require approval. These are limit increases, PIN forces, removing a hot block, the cardholder exclusions, and overnight orders. These can only be approved by a supervisor or an administrator on Connect, which I know only a few of you actually have these qualifications. So if you have a request that you've submitted that it looks like it's still not done yet, make sure you check in with your approver, because that's usually what ends up holding it up. If they get busy and they can't get to it and they don't know it's there, it might delay your request a little bit. So check in with them, and if you are an approver, make sure you're checking this regularly. Otherwise, a member is going to be waiting for that pin force for a while, because we don't see it until you approve it. The last thing I'd like to go over is card orders. We have two quick things that we want to just remind you guys of. The first is name suffix. If you put a junior or a senior or a number or MD or anything like that after a card holder's name, you're going to want to check the suffix box that's right below the name section in the request. If you don't check that box, Connect doesn't save it properly, and we won't know to put the full name on the card. So if you could just make sure you click on that when you enter that in, we'd really appreciate it. The other thing we'd like you to keep an eye on is phone numbers. If you're ordering for an existing member, please make sure that there's a phone number in the system for that member. Otherwise, your card order is going to be on hold. I'll put it on hold. I'll tell you that the phone number is missing, but the requests only sit on your main page for 2 days. So if you don't get back to me in 2 days, it's going to get rejected, and then the member's not going to have their card on the way. So just make sure you check that regularly and you enter those in. It'll save everybody a lot of time. Again, my name is Jen Pearson. You guys can contact me at extension 7035, and my email is jen.pearson, Pearson, @vcul.org. Does anybody have any questions?
We have one question, Jen. Why is it when I do a name change and then a reorder, the name isn't always updated?
A lot of times, if you don't wait until the maintenance is completed when you do a name change or an address change or a phone number update, it will not show in the card order. So when you're submitting some kind of update for an existing member, before you do the order, wait until we've completed the maintenance, and then you can make sure all the information is updated in your new request. The system is live, so it's best if you take the steps to make sure that everything falls into place before you place the next order. Are there any other questions? No? All right, we're going to go over to Monica, and she's going to talk about chargebacks.
Thank you, Jen. Hi, I am Monica Stotine. I've been with the association for 2 years now, and I am a program services specialist. Some of the things that I handle here in the office are phone support and Connect help, so your everyday issues. I also do the online credit union's activity files and network totals that you receive in the morning. I handle the fraud case sheet, so your potential fraud notifications. I'm the one that you would call if you are confirming fraud or not fraud, as well as the CanCam compromise alert follow-ups. And I cover the lost and stolen follow-ups as well. I also do the chargeback and ATM PIN-based disputes. That's one of my main areas, as well as the ATM terminal help desk. I'm currently keeping a record of all of the contacts that we have on file for each one of your ATMs. And so if you'd like a copy of who you currently have listed or the times that we contact you, because some of you we have set up for secondary contacts outside of office hours. And if you'd like a listing of who you currently have set up, I can email that to you. Just send me an email or give me a call and I'd be happy to do so. Or if you have a staff change, or if you'd like to make a change on that contact list or the scheduling, please let me know so we can change that appropriately. I can be reached at extension 7027, and my email is monica.stotine, STOTYN, @vcul.org. And now if we can bring up the PowerPoint, I'd like to go through just an overall chargeback process and what that looks like. A more detailed version of this process will be soon placed on Connect, so just keep an eye out for that. We will place an announcement when it's been put up, and you can use that for your reference and also for any training that you may be doing for new employees. So step 1 in the chargeback process is when a member notifies the credit union that there is a transaction they wish to dispute. This is the very first conversation that you have with the member, and this first conversation is very important. You'll want to get as much information as possible during this first interaction. And then step 2, from that detailed conversation, you'll be able to fill out the chargeback request form. Soon, we will no longer be taking phone and email requests. There will be a new form for you to fill out, and this will be available on Connect within the next month or so. So you'll want to keep an eye out, and we will be sending out an email and then posting an announcement on Connect soon. And Jennifer will go over this in more detail just after I'm done going through this process. Step 3 is the AVCU emails chargeback forms. Member signs the forms, and the credit union faxes these forms back to the AVCU office. When you have the member sign the forms, please have them fill out each form completely. So the chargeback request form, if they can fill out their name, their address, as well as the phone number, and for the dispute letter, the name and the date, and if they can fill both of those out for each individual chargeback, that would be very helpful. Typically, during this step of the member signing the forms, this is when provisional credit is given, but you will want to check with your individual credit union's policy, as each one is a little bit different. We'll move on to step 4. The AVCU will key the chargeback and fax the credit union a keyed letter. When we say keying a chargeback, this just means that we have initiated the dispute, we have entered it into Vantiv, and begun the chargeback process. Step 5, AVCU will fax the credit union a provisional credit letter. Usually this is within a couple of days after the keyed letter to up to a couple of weeks. And this simply means the credit union has received provisional credit from Vantiv. At this point, we go into a bit of a waiting period, and the merchant has 45 days from the date of that provisional credit to your account, and this is the time frame in which the merchant can represent the chargeback with any supporting documentation. Step 6. The AVCU will fax either a finalized or a reversal letter. The finalized letter means we've had success, the chargeback is finalized, provisional credit is good to go, and we've done everything we need to do and had success. With the reversal letter, though, you will receive supporting documentation that the chargeback has been reversed. And at this point, we can actually go on to step 7, and you can contact the AVCU office to discuss if a second chargeback is applicable, if we have second chargeback rights for this reverse dispute. If you receive a reversal with a signed sales draft, we actually have no further chargeback rights. At that point, all the merchant needs to submit is the signed sales receipt, and so most of you are probably already familiar with this, that at that point when you get back that signed sales receipt, if it was an in-person transaction, the chargeback is finished. But if it was an online purchase or a different type of situation where we have a purchase order and some billing information and other things to review, we may be able to proceed with a second chargeback. So we can look at what we have as far as chargeback rights and discuss from there. So if you get that reversal letter, please contact myself or Jennifer and via email or phone, and we would be happy to discuss the second chargeback. Please don't hesitate to give us a call at any point along this process, and we're happy to help you, and we want to make this process the smoothest for you and your member and get them their money back in a quick manner. Do we have any questions, Joe?
One question, can I email signed chargebacks to you instead of faxing them in?
Absolutely. We've had many credit unions recently switch to, instead of faxing them to us, they scan them and email them directly to myself or Jennifer. It's helpful to us if you do email both of us in case one of us is out on vacation or having stepped out of the office for the day. So please email both of us, but we're happy to take them through email, and that works just fine. At this point, I guess I will pass on to Jennifer.
Thanks, Monica. Hi everyone, I'm Jennifer Malraux. I have been working here at the association for the last 5 years as a program services specialist. I help with Connect, with reports, with online credit unions and card extract uploads, with fraud and prevention and compromised card listings. with chargebacks and ATM PIN-based disputes, and ATM terminal setups and installations. As Monica mentioned, we would like to introduce a new chargeback request form that we will be uploading to Connect this month. We'll be uploading it to the new document libraries on the dashboard, including this chargeback request form that you'll be able to access and submit via email or fax. We hope this form is helpful in asking the member all the questions that we will need to submit a chargeback. So through our PowerPoint, we will walk through an example of the new fillable PDF form. So please submit this completed form in order to initiate the chargeback process. Typically, chargeback forms will be emailed within 2 weeks. And then please fax and email signed forms to the AVCU office within 100 days from the date of transaction to maintain chargeback rights. So please enter your credit union name and today's date, the credit union representative, and the member's name. Please list the last 4 digits of the card and the card's physical status. If the card is in the member's possession, or if it has been lost or stolen. In this case, we're going to go ahead and just put it in possession for this particular chargeback. There are many different types of chargebacks. I'd like to quickly reference the different types below. The first one is fraud, where the member did not authorize this transaction. Second one would be product or services not received. And in this case, we would need to know what the product was or what the service was, and that it wasn't delivered in the promised time frame. So we would need to know the expected delivery date. And please ask the member what the product or service was, the expected delivery date, a contact date, who they spoke with, and the merchant's reply. And the third one is canceled transaction. In this type of chargeback, the member would cancel the contract or order before the transaction date. Please ask the member the date when they canceled, who they spoke with, and the merchant's response. And the fourth one listed is credit not processed. This is where the merchant promised credit to the member, but the credit has not been applied to their account. So we would need to know the date of the promised credit and who they spoke with at the merchant. And then lastly would be other. And in this case, every chargeback is truly unique. There are many different types of chargebacks. So if one doesn't fall within one of these categories, you can use the other selection and enter the information there. Next we go to, there's a bunch of different questions that we could answer. Oh, we're going to actually select here is product/services not received for this example. And the expected delivery date would be March 22nd. And then the first question is, please list the date, merchant name, and dollar amount of all transactions for which you need a chargeback form. So here you would list, if there's multiple 3 or 4 different transactions that the member is disputing, you would list them here. In this example, we just have one listed, a Staples transaction that was made on March 10th for $185.95. The next question is, please list any of the above transactions that you do not wish to submit. For example, if there's a couple transactions there that have small dollar amounts or only $5 or $10 and that you do not wish to submit, you can enter them there, and we will not type up the chargeback paperwork on those certain ones, but we will go ahead and report fraud on them. And then in this case, we're just doing the one transaction. Has the member tried calling the merchant to pursue a credit? That's usually the first step for the member, is to try calling the merchant to see if they can resolve it through the merchant first. So in this case, yes, the merchant did call. And what was the merchant's response? Please include as much information as you could, which would be a date called, name of merchant contact, and forward any correspondence the member has had with the merchant via email, web messaging. So here we have called Staples on March 27th to check on order, spoke with Dawn, who stated item was no longer in stock. And also, if the member address on file is a P.O. box, please enter the physical address. It's helpful to have an actual address listed on the chargeback forms. And lastly, please provide any additional details or information pertinent to supporting this chargeback form. If you have any other supporting documentation, any emails back and forth with the merchant, any confirmed receipts, like in this case, we will fax confirmation with expected delivery date received from merchant. That is always helpful to add with the chargeback paperwork. And then you can go ahead and submit this form by email, or you can print it and fax it to the AVCU office. And as Monica already mentioned earlier, we are happy to assist you with any questions that you may have throughout this process. Again, every chargeback is very different, so sometimes there are many different questions that come up. So please don't hesitate to give us a call here at the office. You can contact me at extension 7036, and it's my email address is jmalroux, which is malroux at vcul.org. And I don't know if there's any questions, Joe, at all that's come up?
Not right now.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead, and Michelle would like to share a few new updates.
Thank you, Jennifer. Just wanted to give everybody a big thank you for joining us today on our first CUcard Connect broadcast. It's greatly appreciated for your time and joining us here today. The few things that I just wanted to give updates on is one in regards to the new card that we had introduced with part of the release of CUcard Connect. And CUcard Connect is actually a year old this week, and we were happy to introduce a new card in correlation with that. And as you see on your screen, you will see the new card that is currently being produced as of today. We wanted something new, something fresh, something in lines with the CUcard Connect itself. And the new black color is a color that tends to be wanted in today, and got rid of the blue card and the old little check box there. So I hope everybody has gotten either a chance to see the new card via announcements on CUcard Connect, or one actually in your physical hand. The other thing I just wanted to check on is for everyone is to check to see if there's any additional questions that you may have today. I was just going to open it up to the floor and just ask any other questions that you may want to address to any individual one of us at this time. I'm going to check with Joe to see if there are any.
So, do I have to hot cards that come through on the CanCam's compromised card list, and what is the likelihood that fraud will really occur?
Monica, do you want to take that one?
Sure, I can take that. When you receive a CanCan compromise card list from us, you'll receive an email as well as the upload to Connect, which will have the narrative, the text explaining what is on this hotted as soon as possible. Would you agree, Michelle and
Yeah,
Jennifer?
I think one of the biggest concerns is being covered by your CUNA Mutual
With the
policy.
compromise. It doesn't always have a lot of information on it, but that is everything that we receive directly from MasterCard.
Directly from MasterCard.
And so, etc. And so, at that point, that is all that we have for information. So it really, again, is just up to you, your discretion as far as the credit union of when you want to hot the card. But we do see great success in preventing further fraud.
And one of the biggest issues is, members really wanting to know, who is the merchant and why is this happening? And unfortunately, because of privacy policies, this ends up being a federal investigation that tends to be ongoing. So MasterCard will not release that information unless you have one like Hannaford's or Heartland Payment Systems, where the news media ends up getting involved because the compromise is so big. So that tends to be the only time we tend to know who the merchant is, unfortunately, at those times. Joe, is there any other questions at this time? Well, again, I thank everybody for joining us today. I hope you got a chance to see our faces and hear our voices, and now you can put a face to the voices on the phone. And I greatly appreciate everyone's time, because I know everybody's busy. And in regards to a quick upload, we will be sending out a new contact sheet of the CUcard program staff contacts, and I'll throw that up on the screen at this time, and gives you an idea of where each individual person may work throughout our office. And I hope you've enjoyed this session. We hope to have a few more throughout the year. If you do have any topics you would like to send our way, we'd love to hear from you. That only will make our presentations better as we research your questions and get those answers off to you in hopefully presentations throughout the year.